Another wrinkle in the FBI's order for Apple to hack an iPhone involved in the San Bernardino shootings. Microsoft founder Bill Gates is supporting the FBI despite privacy concerns voiced by Apple CEO Tim Cook and others in Silicon Valley. So joining us now to talk about that is Dan Costa, editor-in-chief of PCMag.com. Dan, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So first off, what kind of influence does Bill Gates' opinion have on Tim Cook's stance against hacking an iPhone for the FBI?
Yeah, at this point, I would say probably not much. We covered this last week. Pretty much the entire tech industry had lined up behind Tim Cook and in support of his decision to sort of take the FBI on here. We were waiting for who would break ranks, and it looks like it's going to be Bill Gates. And he made his statement. It's pretty. He's pretty straightforward about what he thinks needs to happen. He likened it to a court ordering a company to untie a ribbon that was around a locked box. I think Tim Cook and Apple would say that's a kind of simplistic analogy for what the FBI is asking for.
Yeah, and certainly those comments come on the heels of many other companies in Silicon Valley, including Microsoft and Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, sort of going more the Tim Cook route on this whole debate. A Pew Research study found that half of Americans support the FBI in this case. Do you think that has any impact either way?
I think it does. I mean, you got to remember, Apple is it's a public company, and it has a relationship with consumers. It generally has a very good relationship with those consumers. This is they're taking on a very controversial stand here. The bottom line is everybody wants to see what's inside that phone. It's obviously a case of a terrorist activity. We know that the party is guilty. The thing is what are the consequences of that decision? And that's what Apple wants people to think about. But I think a lot of consumers just see a terrorist phone and say they want the government to get access to it.
Yeah, and this is something you've written about, and really well, I might add. What do you think are the long-term implications of Apple granting access to an iPhone like that? I mean, both from a national security and an iPhone user privacy perspective, because, I mean, especially in light of the Wall Street Journal report that actually came out just this morning, the Justice Department wants to access about a dozen more iPhones. Would this be the first case that could essentially open the floodgates?
Yeah, I mean, the government's position is that they're asking to break into one particular phone. And specifically in this case, they are. But the problem is that this is not the first time they've asked to break into phones. They've got, there's court documents showing that Apple has actually unlocked at least 70 iPhones for the federal government in a variety of different cases. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that there's another dozen or so cases that are active right now where the government wants access to phones. And that really gets to the crux of it. This is not about the one phone that's being discussed. If Apple builds this technology, even if they just crack this one phone, that back door will be able to be used by other people. It'll be able to be used by other governments. It'll be able to be used by criminals. And that's really the fear here. And that's why the tech industry is sort of siding with Apple on this one.
And in light of all of this, what's your take? I mean, do you have an opinion? Where do you fall in terms of this debate?
Yeah, I think it's a very difficult question, and and I think it's easy to look at one phone and say that there's more good than harm that can be done from cracking this one phone. But when you look at it in perspective, you've got you're talking about providing a backdoor that would allow the U.S. government to crack pretty much any iPhone on the market, any iPad on the market, and that's just the U.S. government. And people may be in favor of that, they may be against it. But I think that you got to say, well, what would you be willing to have any government have access to any iPhone? Any criminal with sophisticated encryption technology and skills have access to any iPhone? And then I think you're talking about a different question. I think that's the real debate we need to have here.
Dan Costa, thanks for joining us and breaking this down. Thank you for watching. I'm Brennan. Have a great day.
Hey YouTube fans, I'm Landon Dowdy from CNBC. Thanks so much for checking out our channel. Here you'll find videos packed with all the info that you need to be smarter about your finances. Be sure and subscribe by clicking right here, and click on all the videos around me to see CNBC's original series Young Money, Tech Bet, Cramer's Mad Money, and all the latest from CNBC.